again to talk to the hand reviews. I'm Bold Reviews Lady. Let's start with the dance. Hello, you lovely ladies and handsome gents. You know how I know you're lovely and you're handsome? Because you came here to watch and to hang out with me, and I appreciate you. And so to me, you are lovely and you are handsome. So today I'm going to talk about another fragrance I have a deep, rich history with. Design. Design was well, it's still around, in fact, and I recently smelled it, and it still smells just like it used to. I was thrilled to find that out. But this is my ancient perfume purse spray. I'll open it, show you. There's still some real juice in there. Here we go. That's perfume, and it still smells great after all these years, because this would have been from the late 80s, because that's when I sold Design behind the counter in a department store, Southern California area. You don't find this anymore. You find the newer bottle, which is pretty. It's prettier than the old eau de toilette, eau de parfum bottle used to be. Was more basic, but what they are doing now is really pretty. It's this beautiful little bottle with an interesting cap, and they used to have another fragrance called Tribeca that had a bottle similar to that, but now Design does that too. So let's spray a little bit in the air. Oh yeah, still smells, oh my gosh, so many of these fragrances that I kept from the 80s and 90s still smell great. Oh, this smells exactly like it. It smells exactly like it used to. So my little purse perfume did not change. It just smells, it's fresh and floral. It's like, if you like Oscar de la Renta, you'll like Design. Any white floral, you'll most likely really like Design. And like I said, they're still selling it. I've seen it around. I've smelled it. It still smells great. And when I sold it, well, you know what? I'm going to tell you a funny story towards the end, but first I just want to tell you a few facts about it. I'm going to tell you a funny story about it towards the end, but right now I just want to tell you a few facts about it. It was launched in 1985, and I would have worked in cosmetics and fragrance shortly after that, probably around 87, 88, 87 maybe. It's considered an amber floral. Never did they call it that before. When I used to work in cosmetics and fragrance, they would have called it just a white floral. But now there's a lot more information available about fragrances than there used to be, even for people who used to work behind the counter, because the information we got, it was just hard for them to get the information to people on a regular basis so that you'd have that knowledge at the top of mind that you could share. Not like nowadays. Nowadays you're just like, I mean, these people who work in those industries must be so knowledgeable now, because the information is at your fingertips, and the average just fragrance lover knows so much more about fragrances than they ever did, and in a lot of cases probably more than us fragrance and cosmetics people used to. But anyways, Design, it was created by the company called Paul Sebastian, and it was started by these two gentlemen, Leonard Paul Quozzo and Alan Sebastian Greco. So they decided to use their middle names, Paul and Sebastian, to name their fragrance company Paul Sebastian. FFI purchased it and owns Arden, Elizabeth Arden now. And now Paul Sebastian fragrances are made by the Elizabeth Arden Company. So great job, Liz, because it still smells great. They had some really nice men's fragrances too. They had one, Paul Sebastian for men, which was really nice. And another one, I had a technical difficulty. My phone was full. I have no idea how that happened. Continuing on talking about my dear old friend Design fragrance. The thing about them, well, no, you know, first, I know you want to know. What's it smell like? follow Fragrantica. We've got some interesting information over there. And according to them, they have a section that says what people think this fragrance smells like for each fragrance. If you ever go there and you scroll way down, you'll get to it. So according to them, 19 people felt Design smelled like Anne Klein. I have Anne Klein. I think it does smell like Anne Klein. I did a video about it, but it's not the same. Anne Klein is sweeter. Design is more floral, I think. But if you like Anne Klein, I think you'll like Design. Design is just, oh man. It's just such a beautiful, floral, feminine, summery fragrance. I mean, you can wear it any time of year. I mean, it's actually even more, I wouldn't even say it's really a light floral. It's like it's kind of a strong floral that you could really wear in the winter or the fall if you wanted to. Of course, I think you should wear any fragrance you want to wear at any time of year, but I mean, naturally people usually think, oh, well, if it's a lighter or it's a floral, spring or summer. If it's heavier, you know, if it's headier, fall, winter, I don't know, whatever, you know, just wear what you want. But Design, 10 people felt it smelled like Charlie Red. Charlie Red, I've heard some things about it. I love the original Charlie. That's one of those that, you know, my mom and I had when I was young. One of those inexpensive fragrances we enjoyed. And I tried to get Charlie again, but I couldn't find it. And they have all these other kinds of Charlie, and Charlie Red is one of those. I've never tried it, so I don't know. Maybe you have. You can leave a comment whether or not you think it smells good or whatever. 12 people. I'm sorry. You know what? I'm reading this to you wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. I did it backwards. Okay. So the first one should have been Giorgio. Giorgio. It is similar to Giorgio, but they're not the same at all. They're bold florals. That's what I think that they share in common, is that they are bold florals. If you like Giorgio, will you like Design? Yeah, I think you will. And then 17 people felt this smelled like Diamonds and Emeralds from good old Liz Taylor. And I've never tried that. Well, I know I have tried it, but I don't remember what it smelled like, so I can't remark on it. But 17 people. And then 12 people felt it smelled like Versace Blonde, which is, it is like my favorite. It's really one of my very favorite fragrances, isn't it? They don't make it anymore. You can't find it anymore. You can find vintage, but you can, it's cost you a couple bucks. It's like $300 minimum, you know, and it's like, wow, is it worth it? It is worth it, but I just don't think I'm going to be doing it anytime soon. But anyhow, that's not your interest. What you're interested in is Design. So I'm sorry, I read it wrong. So the first place one was people thought it smelled like Giorgio, 27 people. And then 19 people felt it smelled like Anne Klein. 17 people felt it smelled like Diamonds and Emeralds. 10 people felt it, I'm confused again. Wait, 12 people felt it smelled like Versace Blonde, and 10 people felt it smelled like Charlie Red. Sometimes I write these down. When you go looking at Fragrantica, it doesn't necessarily, the first fragrance that it says people thought this fragrance reminds me of, that's what it's called. It's not always in order. Sometimes I'll go and and I write it down really fast, and then I go back and look, wait a minute, that's wrong. So anyhow, that's the story. So I've got to tell you, I want to make sure, this company was really generous to the people behind the counter. And what I learned about them through, you know, the research that you can do now via the internet, which has come around, you know, since I'm not young anymore. I used to be young. They say I used to be crazy. That's 'cause I used to be young. Anyways, what they did was they didn't do any advertising, but they built really good relationships with the stores, and a really important part of their marketing was they used to give away the best gifts with purchase. I mean, they gave away watches and ceramics, and I mean, and it wasn't just icky stuff. It was beautiful stuff. I still have a lot of them because I bought a lot of design, and I also got a lot of design just because when I worked at in my first fragrance counter job, design, we had a nice big counter for design. I mean, somehow, even without big marketing, without advertising, they got in there. They got in those department stores. And what they would do was offer these gifts with purchase. And I bought a lot of the fragrance. In fact, I think my little perfume spray came in probably a gift set, like that I bought probably around Christmas time, because I seem to recall having one where I think it was a powder, this guy, and a large, I don't remember if they did eau de parfum or eau de toilette. Usually it was eau de toilette back then. But there's a funny story I want to tell you, and it has to do with those gifts with purchase. So let me see if I can do it justice by, let me turn this up. I want to do this story, I want to tell it right. So back in the day, it was just my mom and I. My mom raised me, and it was just my mom and I. My mom and dad got divorced when I was little, and it was just my mom and I. And okay, Paul Sebastian for design, they had this promotion one year where they would do a lot of figurines that look like, I don't know if you're familiar with Giorgio. It's spelled Lladro, Giorgio, and they're these really nice, really expensive figurines. And the coloring is like kind of washed out. They stick to these very, like almost all the figurines have the same colors, like it's like these light blue, light browns kind of things. And they used to make a really large version of the little gift with purchase one that they were giving away, and then at the end of the promotion, sometimes they would give it to the person who took care of the line. And I took care of design at this time, and so they gave me this huge one. It was a mother and child figurine, like it's huge, like I'm not kidding you. I think it's this big. I have a picture of it. If I can find the picture, I'll put it on this video. I don't know if I'll be able to, but so I gave it to my mom, but she knew it was that they gave it to me. I didn't, tell her I bought it or anything. It was just like, oh, Mom, and she really loved it. In fact, I was going to give it to another lady that worked at the store. I didn't know my mom wanted it, and I had to say, no, I'm not going to give it to you. I'm sorry, my mom wants it. That wasn't very nice, but I had to do it with my mom. I had to, between this lady that worked with me and my mom's, well, I had to do what my mom's wanted, and I did feel really bad about that because I don't like to tell people I'm going to do something and then not. But anyways, that's another story. So my mom and I went to my cousin's house in Los Angeles, and my cousin's family was kind of wealthy because my cousin, she's quite a lot older than me. My cousin had married, and her husband was involved in the television business somehow, or movie syndication, something like that. And they were quite wealthy. They lived in Bob Hope's neighborhood, and we went over there for a little mini family reunion one time. And my mom was there, my two aunts were there, and my cousin was there, and another one of my cousins was there, and I think maybe somebody, I don't remember, but I remember we were sitting having lunch at my cousin's table. She had her maid bring in the food and everything, and we were sitting there having a little luncheon, and over next to the table in their dining room overlooking the pool, it was beautiful. I mean, it's what you'd expect it to be. And my cousin was really nice, by the way. She's a really nice lady. I really like her a lot. But this was kind of funny. My cousin, this table next to the lunch table, or the dining room table we were sitting at, my cousin had this big display case full of Giorgio. I guess she collects Giorgio, you know, so it was full of these expensive figurines. And I just happened to look over and go, oh wow, you have a collection of Giorgio. You know, it's really nice. I was, you know, admiring. You know, people like it when you admire their stuff that they like enough to buy and display. You know, I mean, you know, and it is pretty and it is worthy of noticing. But anyhow, my mom really didn't know what Giorgio was. She was not a figurines collector or anything like that. And she was quite older, a bit older than everyone else too. She had me at an older age. She would have been 100 years old this year. But she had me when she was older. I'm not quite as old as most people would, most people who have that age of parent. But anyways, so I'm sorry, I'm getting further and further away from the punchline. The punchline is, I looked over at these Giorgio figurines and I was like, oh wow, really nice. And my mom said, oh yeah, she gave me a really big one. And there was this silence at the table, and my cousin just like kind of blinking and smiling, and just kind of, and I decided I wasn't going to clarify anything. You know, it's just like, I don't know if anyone here will understand what I'm saying about either the Giorgio figurines or the fact that this big one was not a Giorgio. I explained it to my mom afterwards, but I thought at that moment it probably wasn't the time to get all, you know, confuse the issue. But I thought it was just kind of funny, you know, that my mom thought that they looked similar enough, because they really do look a lot like Giorgio, these ones that Paul Sebastian gave away. But what's so funny is the idea that my cousin, everybody must have just been thinking like, well, how could you guys afford that? That must have cost like $1,000, you know. So anyhow, it's kind of a funny story. And I just want to say, design, it was a lovely fragrance line. And they had, like I said, this other fragrance called Tribeca, which was another really pretty fragrance. And they made other fragrances after I left the fragrance industry that I only found out about recently when I was researching design. But I think it's a really great fragrance. I think it remains a really great fragrance. Even though they don't, you're not going to be able to get any of those gifts with purchase anymore unless you go look it on eBay. I don't know if you're interested in that. They used to say, when I worked behind the counter, they used to say men are value buyers, women are gift buyers. And every time gifts with purchase would come around, I mean, people would come around and buy. That's when people would buy the products. And I mean, not just design, all the products, you know, all the cosmetic lines. If there's a gift with purchase, people wait, you know, until the gift with purchase is there. I mean, why not? You know, you get something with it. So anyhow, design. Oh yeah, it's still fantastic. It's a really good old friend of mine. And I hope you get a chance to try it. It's very affordable. I've seen it around in a few places, and it's more affordable now than it used to be. It used to be up there at the same price as, you know, a lot of the more expensive fragrances. But nowadays you can get it less expensive. A lot of fragrances that used to be expensive, you can get them now less expensive. So anyhow, my dear lovely ladies and my handsome gents, thank you for visiting me again and Talk to the Hand Reviews. I'm Bo the Reviews Lady, and I hope you subscribe or like this video. But even if you don't, it's really nice that you came here and spent time. And I appreciate that you listened to me talk about my old friend design, because I think it's worthy of respect. So I hope to see you next time. I try to post Mondays and Thursdays, but I don't always get to. I'd love to post every day, but it's a lot of stuff to do. So anyhow, thanks again, and I'll see you later. Bye.